What do we got?
Looks like 64 yards to the pin. About 64 mile per hour winds.
Dude, there's no wind.
Hand me my 64-degree wedge.
What's it with you and 64?
Are you 64?
.com! The start of something new sales event is here.
A couple days prior, we did mention that there could be the possibility of really strong tornadoes.
Vandenberg, make sure you are getting into your safe spot right now.
Thanks, Riley. I thank Riley so much. He saved our life.
This is why we put out those first alerts.
The start of something new sales event is here.
Hey, Brett, I think we need a jingle.
What'd you have in mind?
I don't know yet.
Well, if you're taking something, come knock on my door.
Come and knock on my door.
If you're 64. Trust Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale for your first alert. Live from Augusta, you're watching News 12 at 6 o'clock.
A community looking for answers after the sale of a historic property in Richmond County, a school, to a newly established LLC. So, who bought Lamar Elementary and why? The I-Team is digging deeper.
And a family's attempt to exhume their child's remains leads to more questions than answers.
I want my daughter's remains, and if I can't have it, somebody needs to explain to me why I can't.
These top stories and more next on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
But first, we're heading for another cold night, but not below freezing, which is great news. Let's check in.
All this rain is out of here. Throughout the day Friday, we should hang on to sunshine, but once again, a very windy day. Gusts over 30 miles an hour most of the afternoon. Have a look at those very cold temps for the weekend in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Riley. All new on News 12 at 6 o'clock. City leaders in Bamberg have just unanimously approved the downtown area a disaster zone. Back on the 9th, an EF2 tornado hit that area, destroying several historic buildings, businesses, and homes there. This measure now heads to Governor McMaster to sign off on.
Also tonight, over the years, thousands of people have been buried at Hillcrest Memorial Park. 22 years ago, while still moving around with the military, Cameron and Fatima chose Augusta to bury their 6-month-old daughter because of family ties.
As time passed, the couple divorced, so they decided to exhume and cremate their daughter's remains to carry with them. But when it was time to dig, the groundskeeper couldn't find anything buried in the plot they purchased. Thousands of dollars later, and as Sydney Hood reports, they're still left without answers and without their daughter.
This is the application to go in and exhume little Jada Hickman's body. Now, this was back in September, and not only do her parents not have her ashes, they don't have Jada, period. Perpetual care. It's meant to last forever.
That, to me, it seems like this is one of the things that should be held in the most high regards ever. You know what I mean?
The headstone for his baby girl, Jada, reads, "My angel, your angel, our angel." And to Jada's parents, she was their chunky, always smiling, perfect angel.
You know, and you just play with her. She just had this giggle, and, you know, she was just so full of life.
It was all cut short in 2001 when Jada was only 6 months old.
She was at the right time, and we were in the right place in our life to have her and to raise her. And we didn't get an opportunity to. And then we wanted to bring her closer to us if we don't have an opportunity to, and I just think that's unfair.
Her parents wanted to exhume her body and cremate her, only to find nothing below her headstone.
And he says, "Hey, we've been digging, and we haven't found anything. No casket, no clothes, no bones,
no Jada."
You know, we lost her all those years, and we were really trying to do something to continue that healing process when all that really happened was it opened it up all over again. It's like losing her all over.
This is the response they got from Dignity Memorial, that owns Hillcrest Memorial, saying, "Due to the passage of time, we were unable to recover the remains of your daughter."
I can't allow that to be just the end of the conversation.
Those are remains, you know what I'm saying? That is very important that we always keep a chain of custody and understand everything that was involved into the burial of that gravesite, but they can't provide any information.
The manager at Hillcrest Memorial told me he couldn't comment and directed me to Dignity Memorial. Dignity still hasn't answered my questions, but of course we are going to continue following this. As for Fatima and Cameron, they are not stopping until they find their daughter's body.
Certainly jarring, and you're talking about a matter of 20 years, not 200 years, so Very concerning.
Really unsettling for that family trying to get some answers.
A couple of staff members from the Salvation Army Center of Hope helped save a man's life today after he was stabbed in the neck near the Sacred Heart Cultural Center. News 12 was on the scene after it happened just before 12:30 today. All of this unfolding near the Calhoun Expressway Bridge. The Salvation Army says when the staff members realized what had happened, they jumped into action. They applied a tourniquet until first responders got there. Deputies were able to find and detain a possible suspect, and the victim, we're told, is in serious condition. They say neither of the people involved were staying at the shelter.
The sale of a historic school to an unnamed buyer by the Richmond County School Board is raising questions from families in that community.
The sale came at the same time the city applied for a grant from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. The plan includes building 236 units of mixed-use housing across from the Academy of Richmond County. Senior investigative reporter Liz Owens first broke the story. She's been digging through hundreds of pages of records.
This is just a proposal. It's far from a done deal, but the proposal could bring up to $50 million in federal money to Augusta with matching funds from donors. There are valid concerns. The Board of Education added the sale of the Lamar Elementary School to the agenda with no notice, giving no time for people to voice their concerns before the vote.
It's a tale of two neighborhoods, or three, as a proposed grant states to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. On the edge of Laney Walker Bethlehem along Gordon Highway, sandwiched between multiple lanes of traffic, rail lines, and industry, is Allen Homes. The 1960s public housing project sits on the contaminated grounds of a former chemical plant. 98% black, median income $9,500, median age 14 years old. More than half of the residents here are children. Just across Laney Walker sits another neighborhood around the historic Lamar Elementary. A diverse neighborhood both in race and age, where the median income level is just under $65,000 a year. It's an older neighborhood, but up and coming, with a brand new coffee shop around the corner. Inside Trellis Coffee Bar, neighbors squeezed together for an emergency called community meeting. They asked city leaders to be here.
I think the need is to explain what happened the other night. What's the company that purchased it? How is that tied into what you're planning to do?
I'm not sure I can fully answer you, but it's a private entity that is dedicated to mixed income affordable housing in Augusta, Georgia. It is not the city and it's not the land bank.
$50 million in federal funding could make the development a reality. The Choice Neighborhood Initiative aims to revitalize distressed neighborhoods like the Laney Walker Bethlehem community, home to Allen Homes.
One of the things that the plan indicated was that you had to identify a public housing site.
Quarterly updates revealed the city struggled to find a site to relocate families from Allen Homes. Lamar Elementary eventually made its way into the final plan signed off by the mayor in November. It showcases 2- and 3-story townhomes, an apartment building surrounded by gardens, outdoor gyms, a playground, and even a little library. 236 units in all at the Lamar site, half of which would go to relocate families from Allen Homes.
I'm thinking, okay, 4 people to a unit. That's 1,000 people in one block, right in front of us.
Density and green space are 2 concerns. Another, the school still in use across the street. School board policy recommends when the board determines when property is no longer needed, the superintendent or designee is authorized to dispose of the item in a manner most beneficial to the school system. ARC parents, alumni, and area residents believe the Lamar School is still needed, specifically at the Academy of Richmond County. They made their concerns publicly known to the board this week.
If anybody here is against the Lamar sale, would you please stand?
The board did not respond to the public comments, nor reveal the name of the buyer of the property. Neither did city leaders at the community meeting.
The Augusta National are the private entity that bought this. So why don't they come and talk to us about what's going on?
Yeah.
We can't disclose the fund.
We made a public records request to the city. The result? This email to city leaders from Wrdw. He is the Chief Property and Planning Officer at Augusta National Golf Club, according to his LinkedIn. We are finalizing the Lamar location LOI, or Letter of Intent, to add this location to the CNI application. We need to discuss how the land is purchased and held for the intent of CNI and not to have ANGC, which is Augusta National Golf Club, as the POC, point of contact. Still a few steps to take to get alignment, including how the city leads the CNI or grant itself. We are closely tracking the city's own internal alignment to ensure we can keep the grant application moving forward. Why the secrecy behind the buyer of the property?
As you know, real estate transactions are oftentimes private before they close. This was no different.
Shellberry is the president of the Community Foundation. The philanthropic group partners with city leaders and corporations like Augusta National, donating millions to back community nonprofits and projects.
The Choice Neighborhood Initiative is super exciting. It is big. It is not something that I think this community, anybody, has the perfect amount of experience to try to live into something this ambitious. It's going to take all of us to do it, and to have a community partner like the Augusta National who's intentional and respectful about the way they do things as a partner along with the Community Foundation and our city and the Housing Authority and others is going to help all of us raise the level of expectation.
Which is perhaps the only way they will be able to meet the needs of two different neighborhoods.
The city has a long way to go before getting the green light on the project. One of the bigger challenges is Lamar is not located within the boundaries of the grant project. Another potential problem, environmental concerns at a second additional site. Now, as far as timeline goes, HUD must first give the okay to just the idea before the city can even apply for the grant, which hasn't happened yet. The grant application opens up in the fall.
All right, thank you for looking into that for us, Liz. We are going to see a windy Friday and then into the weekend, another Arctic blast of cold air while that full forecast coming up. Time to protect your outdoor pets. Make sure they are staying warm. And with these temperatures this weekend, I don't think you have to worry about pipes bursting Friday night to Saturday morning, but potentially Saturday night to Sunday morning as those temps drop below 20. You may have to have those concerns for letting a faucet drip for the weekend.
A nonprofit is opening doors into the future. Next at 6 o'clock, we catch up with the Partnership for Children as they work to help teens across the area.
First Alert Radar.
A nonprofit here in Augusta is moving into a new space with the goal of helping more children in our area.
For years, the Augusta Partnership for Children has been a resource for families, from helping teens with tough childhood experiences to teaching new parents how to care for babies. Nick Veland looks at how this new development will help.
New doors and new opportunities now present themselves for the Augusta Partnership for Children as this new building now open up many different rooms like this library for children of all ages to be able to thrive. The sound of having more space.
We have space for kids, space for parents, so we'll be able to make that happen here in this building.
With goals to bring kids to be the best versions of themselves through a center under a new roof.
It means making sure that children are safe, that they are supported, that they become healthy, responsible adults.
The Augusta Partnership for Children's main goals are to network, engage, and connect with families through different needs.
Improving the literacy in the 0 to 5-year-old age group. In some cases, suicide prevention. We do Children's Week annually every year, first week in October. Again, to strengthen families and children and help children grow.
And have a partnership with the Marshal's Office to help feed kids and see Santa fly into town.
And they provide so much relief for a lot of families around here. It's not even about the partnership for us with the Santa flying or the turkey drive, but they provide education for these kids. They provide counseling for these kids. It's just so many different things that they do.
The new building has everyone in the same space with different rooms for kids and teens to have safe spaces to go to hang and even make podcasts.
It really makes me feel good that all of our goals came to fruition, and that we're standing here today, and that we can do the things with the community that we've always dreamt of.
They're already hitting the ground running and utilizing this space to the fullest, with events starting in the upcoming weeks. We'll have more information about that and more information about this organization on our website. In Augusta, New Zealand, on your side.
On your sideline, sports brought to you by the Hawk Law Group.
It doesn't matter how much success you have the year before. When teams show up for the following season, they have a clean slate and have to start over from scratch. Even if you're the North Augusta girls basketball team who have won 5 state championships in the last 7 years. The Lady Jackets are off to a good start, sitting at 15-5 overall with a 2-0 record in region play. But if they want to win their 6th state title, head coach Al Young says that their team, which is mostly led by sophomores and freshmen, still have a lot of work to do if they want to be clicking on all cylinders when playoff time comes around.
Sometimes when young kids come in, they've been very good at middle school, been individual players. Now you bring all those talents together, and somehow you got to get them to understand that we can't do this by ourselves, and we have to play together. And sometimes that's a task, and sometimes it's difficult. But I think with time, the kids begin to understand and learn that.
North Augusta will continue region play tomorrow night at Midland Valley. The invitations for the 5th edition of the Augusta National Women's Amateur are officially in the mail. Every year, the best women's amateur golfers from all around the world come to Augusta to play in an event that's helped women's golf grow exponentially in recent years. Last year, Rose Zhang and Jetty Bay kept us on the edge of our seats, going to a 2-hole playoff at the Augusta National Golf Club, and I can't wait to see what happens this time around.
We are live at Taco Cat in downtown Augusta for Spirit Night there. The goal is to raise money for the Salvation Army, so you can head out, get some delicious food on this cold night. 10% of their sales will be donated to the Salvation Army of Augusta until 8, and you can also bring donations. Toiletries is what they need the most right now.
Right, Joe Stevenson performing from 7 till 10 tonight, and if you can't make it tonight, as Laura mentioned, they're going to accept hygiene donations all month long, so a great night and a great cause there in the heart of downtown Augusta. We're back with much more after the break.
Coming to the Columbia County Performing Arts Center on Wednesday, January 24th. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Well, if you're heading out this evening, temperatures will stay above freezing. Still going to be chilly out there. We'll see some rain push in after midnight. Should be clear of us by the time we get to early tomorrow morning. Friday's going to be a windy day, and then into the weekend, it's going to be an icebox out there. But luckily, warmer next week.
We are live again at the top of the hour on 26 News.
And we'll see you back with more news tonight at 11.
At the CBS Evening News, we focus on solutions, finding solutions to help people understand what are the right choices to make for you and your family. I'm calling.
Live from Augusta, we're watching News 1226 at 11.
Outrage from families tonight after the Justice Department releases a scathing report on the Robb Elementary School shooting in Texas. We'll get reaction later. But first, the city of Bamberg declaring its downtown area a disaster.
It comes 9 days after that EF2 tornado destroyed businesses, historical buildings, and homes. As our Taylor Martin found, it's now in the governor's hands.
Brick by brick, Bamberg is picking up the pieces after last week's storm. Leaders say tonight's vote to declare a state of emergency within the city is the first step toward revitalization. If you take a drive down to Bamberg, you'll see road closed signs and bricks on the ground.
I think a fallen building is an emergency, and you got bricks all over the street is an emergency.
In a little more than a week, Bamberg has seen the community and multiple different cities across the state come together to help out.
It's been wonderful to know that people care. We've had people from Newberry helping and Orangeburg helping.
The decision to declare a disaster came to speed up the process of getting things cleaned up.
When issues like this happen, if we don't do ordinances right away, it could be months before we see revitalization or something to address what has happened in downtown and even outside of our downtown.
When it comes to getting money from FEMA, they're still working to meet requirements to be eligible for funding.
There are certain things that has to go in play before we are able to be qualified for certain funds and certain resources, and so we need individuals to make sure that they put in those claims.
In the meantime, they say if anyone in the city has damage, to call City Hall to report it. They're not sure what kind of funding will come from the state of emergency, but they're holding on to hope for the future. Reporting in Bamberg, Taylor Martin on your side.
And if you would like to go help clean up, they would love to have you. All they ask is you call City Hall to let them know you're coming so they can kind of keep track of all those volunteers that are coming.
And a lot of people are pitching in there to help out. Little break from that bitter cold weather tonight.
Temps for the weekend, just about 10 minutes.
Thanks, Riley. A man has died after a crash in Aiken County today. The victim was heading west on New Holland Road, crossing over Highway 39 when a bucket truck driving south hit him. Investigators say Christopher Chandler of Spartanburg died there on the scene. The truck driver also injured and taken to a hospital for treatment. The coroner's office, along with the South Carolina Highway Patrol, are investigating.
Police found a knife in a student's backpack today in Columbia County. Officials say it was immediately taken away by school police at Harlem High School. No threats were made. They say the student is being held accountable with the law and the code of conduct. A couple of staff members at a house in North Augusta damaged after a fire this afternoon. The Red Cross says it happened on Apache Drive. They're helping 4 people in that home. We're working to learn what started the fire. The Justice Department releasing a nearly 600-page report slamming police officials for their response to the shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, where 19 kids and 2 teachers were killed.
The most significant failure was not recognizing this as an active shooter situation and waiting around for 77 minutes before confronting the gunman. Lilia Luciano reports from Uvalde, Texas.
The law enforcement response to the mass shooting at Robb Elementary was a failure.
In a devastating new report, the Department of Justice blames cascading failures in leadership, decision-making, tactics, policy, and training for why police waited 77 minutes before confronting the gunman at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta led the investigation.
Have you seen a bigger policing failure in your career?
The Justice Department had never seen anything like this. The goal of the Justice Department's engagement has been to learn from these lessons.
After reviewing over 14,000 pieces of data and more than 260 interviews, the report lays much of the blame on then school police chief Pete Arredondo and his failure to treat it as an active shooter situation and not send all available resources towards the threat until entry was made into the classroom.
Had the law enforcement agencies followed generally accepted practices, lives would have been saved, and people would have survived.
Arredondo instead chose to evacuate other classrooms and wait for keys, backup, and tools.
Can you tell the police to come to my room? I already told them to go to the room. We're trying to get someone to you.
A student from inside the classroom called 911 asking for help, and officers still waited nearly 40 minutes before stopping the shooter. Only a handful of officers at the scene have lost their job or resigned.
Because the DOJ stamp is on there, maybe y'all will start taking us seriously now. Instead of telling us to move on, telling us to sweep it under the rug, and not doing a damn thing about it.
The DOJ says it's up to the state of Texas now and the district attorney to determine if these failures could lead to criminal charges.
The DA has had the results from the Texas Rangers investigation for a year. We're waiting to see if and when the DA will present any evidence to a grand jury. New at 11, a new law is helping young military families afford housing in Georgia. The bill backed by Senator Ossoff and Senator Tillis will calculate housing allowances for service members with dependents to assess their housing costs. Before this passed, families could only have 2 housing types. That included townhomes or apartments, which could lead to inaccurate estimates for them.
In South Carolina, the second annual Cannabis Supporters United rally at the State House in Columbia. And this comes as a state senator recently filed a bill that would stop law enforcement officers from searching a car if they smell marijuana during a traffic stop. Supporters of the rally say they hope a broader legalization of marijuana passes to make it recreationally and medically legal in the state. One veteran says it's helped his health.
I had to kill a 6-year-old kid in Vietnam. I had no choice. And when those things come about, I grab my joint and smoking, I metal out, and I get it off my mind. So I'm just one of thousands of guys in this country faced that same problem. They had to kill kids and women they didn't want to.
Our sister station in Columbia, WIS, reached out to law enforcement agencies for their reaction to the bill. Today, no one was available for comment. Former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani looking to appeal.
So, quick look at the 7-day forecast. We got cold temps through the weekend. Next week, highs close to 70.
You know, as parts of the U.S. continue cleaning up from the snow, new footage is showing a truck hitting a snowplow. This is Ohio. It happened in Cleveland Tuesday afternoon. It is the 5th time a snowplow has been hit by a car, and 3 more crashes, they say, have happened since this one. The driver of the snowplow is okay. No word on how that truck driver is doing.
Out in Idaho, police are warning drivers after a car hit a pole driving in those slippery conditions. Police say it happened early Tuesday morning. You can see just how dangerous those roads can get out there. Also, a massive gas explosion leveled a building today in Washington, D.C.
Just moments before, 16 children were evacuated from a nearby daycare center. Quick thinking by firefighters likely saved a lot of lives.
A daycare exploded and a building was leveled in southeast Washington, D.C. Thursday morning.
The building just exploded.
The blast happened shortly after firefighters were called to investigate a suspected gas leak.
The gas was very noticeable. You could hear it leaking as well as smell it from the street.
Once on the scene, firefighters soon realized they could not stop the leak. They had just 15 minutes to evacuate the building and those nearby, including a daycare, before it exploded. That quick thinking meant 16 children got out safely. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser said she was shocked at the damage.
When I saw the building itself, my mouth fell open because if the children had been in that building, they would have very definitely been impacted.
Bricks and rubble crashed on the street as firefighters spent hours putting out the flames. Smoke from the explosion filled the D.C. skyline for miles. Tonight, officials say the cause of the leak is still under investigation, but credit the fast-acting firefighters for avoiding what could have been a mass tragedy.
I think we're very lucky today. We're just grateful to the firefighters for making the necessary and quick decision to remove everyone.
They got the kids out of the building quickly and they all saved lives.
Really unbelievable. Only one person suffered minor injuries from all that flying debris, but it's going to take weeks to get that area cleaned up again.
Really a miracle, just heroes. I hope they get the heroes welcome from here on out. That
was some fast acting to get the kids out. Well, still to come, a SpaceX rocket on its way to the International Space Station after a launch